that was topographic maps that were done by the Allies in the end of 1942. In the end of 1942, first of all, I said there were 40 subcamps and industry around. There were the rail yards, and you see all the sides of Birkenau. The Allies had the pictures. All we asked, and not only that they had the pictures, the Sonderkommando managed to take photos from cameras and that people brought into the camps, and all their belongings were taken to few barracks, which were called the Canada barracks. Canada wasn't in the war, but Canada is a rich country, and because of that, it was called the barrack of the belongings were called Canada barracks. And the Sonderkommando took a risk, took the cameras, and took pictures of what was going on, about the piles of bodies, and about what was happening there, and managed to smuggle the films, the negatives, to the Allies via Switzerland to show what was going on here. And it didn't really happen. I'm not going to go into deep history because it's a whole issue why the Americans and the others didn't bomb Auschwitz. And there was a BBC program, 6 chapters talking about it. One of them was why wasn't Auschwitz bombed? And one of the pilots who gave his testimony from the States said that we got special instructions. The difference was 1 minute flight because they were bombing 2,500 times around Auschwitz, but they were told specifically not to bomb Auschwitz. And not because they thought that they would take a chance and they would kill some prisoners. This was not the issue. The issue, what Roosevelt said, is he is not going to use ammunition to bomb something which is not military. It has to do only with civilians. Churchill spoke differently. I wouldn't give him too many credits, but he was a little better than Roosevelt when it came to the Jewish point. Some even say that Roosevelt said to himself, if I would save so many Jews, I might have them as a problem as immigrants a few years later. And remember the economic crisis after 1929. So I'm not going to quote now, and I said it's a whole issue, but just for you to know that they have these pictures, they know how it looks like, and all we asked is just bomb the railway tracks, just to help us to slow down the trains coming in.
I can just add a little bit more history to it because I think it's well worthwhile. There was a town in Slovakia called Nitra. It's the name of the town.
Make some space for other groups.
There was a town in Slovakia called Nitra. The son-in-law of the Nitra Rav was somebody called Michal Ber Weissmandl. Michal Ber Weissmandl was one of the most brilliant people who were around at that time. And he managed to create an underground. He had relations with the church, he had relations with other people. He actually got the first information from Auschwitz of exactly what was happening. And he smuggled the details to Switzerland, and then from Switzerland the details were smuggled to America. People knew already in the middle of 1942, people already knew what was happening. There were numerous people who were part of the conspiracy to make sure that it did not become public knowledge and that people shouldn't find out about it. The news filtered through slowly. Michal Ber Weissmandl did whatever he could. He tried to bribe wherever he could, and he succeeded, until the Archbishop of Slovakia turned around to him and he said quite explicitly, I want you to know, because you killed our God, you're going to be killed. There is no salvation. We're going to make sure that you are all dead. That's what Michal Ber Weissmandl writes in the Sefer Min HaMeitzah, Out of the Depths. It's one of the most heartrending autobiographies that I ever read. A person who saw what was happening, saw how it can be stopped, and the tragedy of the time. He survived. Michal Ber Weissmandl survived miraculously to go and rebuild the yeshiva of Nitra in Mount Kisco in America. And it's still there and is Son is still the Nitra Rav, living in Monsey and has a community in Monsey. Nitra still exists. Tragedy is about everybody else.
Okay, we'll go now to the next block, to block number 5.